I was looking at this little cup after I filmed last week's program. This itty bitty cup. It's a little tiny plastic cup that I used to start seedlings in. This is the one that I had the mule team in. Remember the mule team that I put in the hydroponics? And it got me to thinking as I was cleaning up and getting ready to film today's program, I've had these cups since I lived in Bruno, Minnesota and started doing indoor gardening back in 2009 is when I purchased these. 10 years I've had these cups. Now that oh sorry, didn't mean to yell. That is recycling. Yep, I put little pieces of tape on it and shows what the plant is, and then when I'm done I rip the tape off and I dry them out, rinse them off, dry them out, and reuse them again. That's what I do. I recycle a lot of things. I recycle soil, pots, plants. Today I want to show you, oh by the way, welcome to the Voodoo Garden. My name is Ray. I am the host of this green, oh sorry, don't move. This greenness I call the Voodoo Garden, the Garden of Voo. I'm going to start out with this actually, the thing that I just whopped and gave a headache. This thing that's being a little clingy right here, some of you may recognize it as an avocado tree. Not your most common avocado tree, but then again, very little of what I do is considered common. I want to show you this so that I can move it out of the way before I hit it, because I'm not good at growing avocado trees. In layman's terms, I suck at it, okay? If you look up the word suck at gardening, you're going to find a picture of me when it comes to avocado trees. This one, I started from a pit from a store-bought avocado, but it didn't do exactly what I had planned for it to do. Normally what folks will do when they start an avocado is to put the pit in a glass of water with a couple toothpicks and wait till it sprouts a root and then something coming up. Well, I don't do that. I put this in, I believe I put this one in soil, and it split open and a tree came out. Well, what happened is the pit turned green. Yeah, have you ever had that happen? Normally I would think the pit would just dissolve away, but this pit actually turned green. It started absorbing chlorophyll and turning green. Well, that aside, it did put down a root going down and it put out a stem coming up. Well, I've always had problems with growing avocados because, as some of you may know, the leaves that come out, they'll get brown around the edges, they crinkle up and they die, and then the plant doesn't do well. It comes up to be about a foot, then it does that weird trick, and then it dies. Well, it started doing that, so I did a Marie Antoinette on it, and I chopped its little head off, because that's my solution to everything. Cut its head off. And that's what I did right here. What happened is, after a while of being just a bare trunk, it sent out a stalk over here and one over here. Each side of it kind of grew a little wonky, and it has a tree tip right here, and it has a tree tip right on over here. Now eventually, if I want to do it again, I can clip off the tip and it'll put out a couple more shoots probably. That's what can happen when you top off your avocado tree, and it also can force it to put out new growth. If you look right down here, right by my fingertip, you can see where there's the potential for new growth as well. So if I cut this off, it might do it again. I have no reason to do that because these are doing well. I have figured something out, at least I believe I have figured something out. Normally when I water my plants, I give them a good solid soaking and then let them totally dry out. Well, the avocado didn't like that. I've never had luck with an avocado when doing this. So what I did was I looked up some information on it, and some folks say what they do is, well, the avocado, even though it does have tap roots, it does prefer shallow watering. So that's what I do. I water it more often but less water. Just enough to go down a few inches down into the soil, and then I let it dry out. I do it again. Oddly enough, it's done well for this plant. I can't really explain it. All I know is it's working. So this is my weird two-headed avocado tree. It fits in perfectly with the theme of the Voodoo Garden, wouldn't you say? Okay, now that I have a little bit more room to work with, I wanted to show you these little things. Remember the poinsettia? Yeah, well, I got this poinsettia at Christmas. Those of you who have been around for a few weeks, you know that I got the poinsettia and I cut it back. Those of you who don't know, just look back and you look for the poinsettia episode. It's about 3 episodes ago or something like that. 4 episodes. It's been about a month. What I did is I took the poinsettia from Christmas, lopped it off down to bare stems. There was nothing left of this thing. I wanted to show you what can happen when you do that, and also I'm going to take it to the next step. The other plant I want to show you is the purple passion plant. This is the mother plant right here. I decided that she's grown about as good as she's going to get, and I also need the space. So I'm going to try a new project called Growing Small. Whereas it's very fun to grow big, huge plants. They're awfully beautiful. Some folks do not have the room to grow big, beautiful plants. They want small, beautiful plants. And that's what I'm going to attempt to do here. I want to show you an update on that, and also the littlest of the updates. It's so incredibly cute. I hope it lives. I want to show you up close on that. So that's today's program. Grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of cocoa, grab a couple kids, have a seat, and we'll get started, okay? Let's start out with the littlest of updates. This little beauty is the only surviving piece of the Coleus. The big, beautiful Coleus that folks were complimenting me on. Yes, some of you hate me, but that's okay. You'll learn to love me again once I get this thing going. This is what I do. I grow things until they reach the summit of what I believe I can do with them. And then when I need the room, I have to recycle the space and the soil and grow something else. Well, I didn't want to stop with this Coleus because I've been growing this for years in the Voodoo Garden. So what I did was I took just a little cutting, and this leaf is a little bit limp, but I took a little cutting. I didn't root it or anything. I just cut it off the plant, shoved it into the soil, and this is it. I wanted to show you the beginning because this is hopefully going to be a big beauty in the Voodoo Garden. So remember this day. This is a little cutting. Now if you have a friend that has a Coleus plant or other plants that can be rooted, maybe if you ask nicely or if you sneak it while they're in the bathroom, you can get a little cutting, shove it into soil or into water, root it, and grow yourself a nice plant. Free, absolutely free. Who's going to pay $5 or $6 or $10 or $14 at a greenhouse for a Coleus when you can start it from a cutting from a friend's plant? Share. Share with your friends. Have your friends share with you. We can get a lot of things done without spending a lot of money. Now this is the baby of the mother. Now I wanted to show you this. Actually, you know what? I want to show you the mother first because you have to see the mother in order to appreciate this a little bit better. This is called a purple passion, cascading velvet, or gynura. This is a velvety plant. It's purple. It's green with a purple haze to it, and it feels like velvet and it looks like velvet. It has sharp lobed leaves, but the thing I wanted to show you about this is, although it's a nice looking plant, every now and then you're going to get brown leaves like this. I just take them, crush them up, and back into the soil it goes, and the cycle continues. It feeds itself along with the compost tea that I'm using. Well, this plant is quite large. So I wanted to take cuttings from it, and that's what I did. I took cuttings, and they were about maybe this big, and I cut off the lower leaves, put them into soil, and I rooted them into soil. Now I want to show you this up close. This is a leaf from the mother plant, and this is a very normal, average-looking leaf from the mother plant. It's not very big. It's got the little points right here. You can see they don't hurt, but they're pointy little leaves. A nice-looking plant. Now let's go over to the baby. I want to show you the difference. The lobes on the baby are sharper, more pronounced. The leaves look stronger, deeper veins, healthier. Look at that. That's because it rooted, and it rooted really well in here. It's doing very good in the soil, and it doesn't have a lot of plant to support. Those of you that have been following along, you saw the little cuttings that I put in here, and you saw me transplant them in. All I have is coir, compost, and vermiculite in here, and a little bit of worm castings. Now what I did was I put them in there, I let them grow for a couple weeks, and then I lopped their little heads off. Because in order to get them to bush out, I know this is a very young stage, I have to cut them back down here to get them to put out new growth. And that's what I wanted to show you. I clipped them back, which is called topping them off or pruning them back, and then you'll see they'll put out new growth. What that'll do is it turns one plant into about 4 to 6. So exponentially, this plant is going to get bushier and bushier. Here's a good vantage right here. Look at this new plant coming out of the stem here. Yep. That's what we're doing with this in order to get it to get bushy. Otherwise, I'm just going to have 4 stems trailing over the edge, and that's not a very impressive plant. I want to have a little bit of growth on the top. Then I'm going to let it bush out and then vine down over the edge. And then I'm going to have a little baby plant. Let me move you over. A baby plant that's going to look just like the mother, only in a smaller pot. This is what we can do when we grow small. Speaking of small, look at this. This is the poinsettia. Now there's something that happened with this that I really have no explanation for. When you get the poinsettias, they have the red leaves on the top. They look like flowers, but those are only leaves. I explained this in the previous program, so I won't go over it today. Now, I pruned everything off. There were no leaves on this plant, only the potential for new buds to come out. Every time I've done this before, the new buds put out green leaves. Well, this one, it put out buds of red leaves. Now, that's something I did not expect. And it even has more buds inside. Now, when you cut these back, when you cut a branch back, it'll put out a couple more. Like right here. I'm going to get up nice and close so you can see that. Yeah, it does that. And then as they grow up, I'm going to cut them back and they'll put out even more. So I'll have a nice bushy plant. Now these stems may eventually put out green leaves, but for right now, they're putting out red leaves. And I don't understand why. But then again, as long as it's leaves and it's growing and it's healthy, which it obviously is, I'm very happy about that. Now today, it's time to put this into its forever home. I could put it into a monstrous pot and try to grow a monster plant, but I don't want to do that. I want to give it some root space, but I don't want to have such a huge pot that it takes up a lot of real estate here in the Voodoo Garden. So this blue pot here, I believe, is a 12-inch. Yeah, that's nice and big. It has a drip tray on the bottom to catch any excess water. It's going to give this plant plenty of root space in order to grow, and then I'm going to keep it pruned back. So it's going to be a nice bushy plant, approximately the size of this peace lily. Maybe a little bit taller. I just transplanted this one as well because it was root bound in the other pot. It was time to move it. So I don't want the poinsettia to get that big, but I want to give it a little bit more root space. So today we're going to be transplanting. First things first, soil goes in here. A gentle tapping down. Now I don't want to bury any part of the stem into the soil. This isn't like a tomato where if you bury stems, they're going to be growing a lot of roots. That's not the way that I grow my poinsettia. I like to bury it about as deep as the original pot. I just tap down a little bit of soil. A little bit, well actually, you know what? I think that's going to look okay. Just a tiny bit more soil. And then we'll take it out. I want to see what the roots look like, because I did transplant it into this pot not too long ago, and I want to see if any roots developed around the side. That would show me that it's got some good root growth growing. Now we turn it upside down, squeeze a little bit. There we go. I'll bring this up to you and show you. The root system goes all the way around. A little bit of soil's falling off, but that's okay. See? That is perfect root system coming out from the mother plant out to the side. And we're going to just set this down in here, nice and gentle, and add more soil around the perimeter. Crap, I hope I have enough soil. I didn't really consider that. Uh-oh. One of my plants may have to have a transfusion over here to help this plant out. I don't know. Actually, no, I think we're going to be okay. All right, nobody's going to get hurt. Wow, there's a thing you need to think about. Plan in advance, folks. Make sure you have enough soil before you start a project like this. Otherwise, you're sitting there going, uh-oh, can I get to the store in time? And around here, no. It takes about a half an hour to get to the store and then a half an hour to get back. Wow. I'm going to just dump in the rest. Watch your face. Shake it off. All right. I always do get soil all over the plant. I'm not that careful. Now, if a little bit gets around the stem, that's going to be okay. Those of you who are working along with me, I did notice that some folks were mentioning getting poinsettias or using the ones that they had for Christmas. This is the next step. First thing we do is we put it underneath the lights. We let it get acclimated to our house. We cut off the old stuff. Give it a couple weeks. Don't rush it. You don't want to do too many things all at once. This one got used to its new environment, its new pot, its new soil, grew some roots. That's a good sign. And now we take it one step further, put it in its forever home. This soil is going to feed the plant along with the compost tea for the rest of its life. And that's all there is to it. It doesn't have to be difficult, but it can be fun. Yep, that's about right. I gave it some water. Everything's okay. Nobody's getting hurt. Okay, I think I'm all ready to go. Thanks for joining me, everybody. If you have any questions about pruning your plants back, which plants can be pruned back, which plants you can put in smaller pots, larger pots, any kind of indoor gardening question you have, post it in the comment section below. I will get to it in a future program. And also, tune in next week. I might actually just take the camera, swing it around here, and give you a view of some of the plants as well as a hydroponic update. How's that sound? Sounds good. All right. Have a great week, everybody. Until next time, this is Ray and his little friends. We're out of here.